Well, hey everyone, Dylan here, and welcome to the channel. I'm a little bit behind on things. Sorry, life gets in the way. It seems to get in the way more and more frequently, but I digress. That's for me. We're going to do an old Raw review for May 16th, 1993. Before we do that, I got to get a little bit of shopkeeping in the way. Ready. So, off the bat, this is May 16th, 93. I think the last episode we did was either end of January, start of February. So you may be like, why did we skip a whole, 3 months? Well, the thing was, when I started this, Peacock era had all the episodes 1 through whatever. And I don't know if it's for licensing rights or they want to, clean up some of the old episodes or whatnot. But Netflix doesn't have every episode on there, like you probably know by now. So with that being said, we're going to have to jump around in the timeline. I'm going to tackle what Netflix has, and we're going to go from there. So the next in chronological order would be May 16th, 93. For reference, WrestleMania has already happened by this point. The Royal Rumble already happened by the last episode. So, yeah, all this has already happened. Hulk Hogan is the current champion. Yokozuna lost to him, even though it should have been Bret Hart's spot. Yeah, I think that's all the highlights. Oh yeah, and King of the Ring is the next pay-per-view they're going to build to. So, usually this would be in podcast format, but due to just honestly not having Max anymore, well, not anymore, but just for right now, I just don't have it due to technical issues. Podcast is just on hiatus until further notice. What's the further notice? Well, you'll figure it out. In the future, if Netflix posts any of the missing episodes, we'll tackle those as time goes on. I'll kind of fix the timeline to make it chronologically 1 through, I don't know, whatever we're on. I almost said 3,000, but I cut myself off. We're probably way past that. But you get what I'm saying. For all the pay-per-views / in the future PLEs that we end up missing, I'll eventually come back and review those too. It's just gonna be some time because, as you can see, I already have a couple of catch-ups as it is. Alright, I think that's all the PSAs in the way. So let's crack into the episode. So yeah, as I was saying, I kind of sort of don't know what's going on as the full chronological narrative for the WW letter that comes after E, but I'll catch you up as I do each feud or each random match together, whatnot. We get the lovely little intro. Commentary for this episode's Macho Man, Vince, and Bobby Heenan. Rob Bartlett's... See, I was going to be nice to him. I wrote down originally Rob Bartlett's contract expired and they just didn't renew it. But I looked into this to fact check myself. Apparently, according to sources, his commentary was poorly received because he had little knowledge of the wrestling business, that they just said, hey, we don't need you anymore, as of the April 19th, 1993 episode. So that would have been, let me do some math. So I think it would have been 2-3 weeks ago that Bobby Heenan's been on commentary for. Oh yeah, they are outside of the Manhattan Center earlier today. They show some B-roll of the Special Ed Olympics organization that they teamed with. I'm sorry I didn't write down the name. We get a rundown of the show that transitions into a recap of the previous week. By the way, since that review's not up, I can kind of sort of spoil it. The previous week, Shawn Michaels was outside. He's doing a little interview in front of the crowd, and then he gets jumped by Mr. Perfect. Outside in the exact same spot is Lord Alfred Hayes. He's out there teasing that he has a surprise interview for later on, which, by the way, I don't think we ever see that. Interesting. I don't know why in my head that Mr. Perfect's jumping Shawn Michaels spot is etched in my brain. I think maybe they put that on a Raw 15th anniversary edition or something like that. But I don't know. It just was etched in the back of my brain. Okay, you know when you're watching something and you have no clue that the moment's going to happen, but then as soon as you see it, you're like, oh snap, that was a thing. I had one of those moments. I don't know what that's called. All right, after that, I think So for some reason, I have the word Wednesday. Maybe he was gonna like have an interview on Wednesday. I don't know. After that, we have a match of the Smoking Guns of Bart and Billy Gunn against local talent that has names, but I didn't write them down because we know who's gonna win and their talent enhancement. Also, just a little culture shock because yes, this was like over 30 years ago. I get it, but the Smoking Guns have a gimmick of shooting off firearms that have blanks in them in the arena, which I think is just wild to see on television, much less if I was live in that audience. But then again, to be fair, this is like a post 9/11 world, so que sera, you know. Also, Bobby Heenan does just a great job at selling on commentary, no matter what it is. Like, as soon as the guns shoot off, he ducks under commentary, and he just comes up with funny, like, one markers throughout the whole show. But yeah, as kind of teased, the Guns are on this semi-push for the tag team title scene, and they win with a throw off the ropes that turns into a pile driver. It looked really sloppy. I don't know how else to word it. There are a lot of teams, and maybe even people that have been mentioned already, but there's a lot of pet projects of Vince McMahon, and you can see it throughout these shows. I don't know why. Maybe he was looking for that lightning in a bottle like Hulkamania, but there's a lot of start-stop pushes he's given people, and we're going to see one of those later on tonight, but I think I'm just going to comment on them every time I see them. And right now we're in the cusp of that start for the Smoking Guns. Billy Gunn's a talent that I think is lucky. Throughout his whole career, he's managed to always find a way, like, when he knows he's off of that push, he can find a way to reinvent his career to go right back onto a push, whether it's singles or a new tag team or what have you. So I don't know if it's luck or if he's just smart like that or what, but and Bart Gunn, oof, man, there was so much more for him, and he killed his own career on accident by actually being a tough guy. After this, the Macho Man and Bobby run down their predictions for Mania, which, by the way, Mania, in case I have not said this, is not WrestleMania. It is a TV show that ends up turning into Heat, that ends up getting canceled, that ends up coming back as like Raw Talk. But it's just a show just to hype up the show and get some more viewers, essentially. Who knows, maybe one day I might review Mania, and I think it was Superstars before that, but all those things, but that's way down the road from now. After that, we get Vin Mac in the ring. He's interviewing the IC champ, HBK. This is prime stripper gimmick, Shawn Michaels, and in true 90s fashion, the crowd chants something very homophobic towards him, which I'm also like 90% sure this outfit is the cowboy fit that I've been looking for in an action figure, so you know, if you know which Jack specific figure it is, like, just let me know, please. I'm still looking for it. I had it as a child, and I ended up tearing it up because children be doing that. Alright, anyways, he was asked why he was attacked by Mr. Perfect last week. Like, what do they have going on? And he said he'll get to that, but first he wants to prove that he is a man of his word. He says that he'd win the IC title. Check. He says that he'd defend it worldwide. Check. And that he defeat Hacksaw Jim Duggan in a lumberjack match. Check. Which I'm going to presume he did that like last week, so I'm actually upset I didn't get to see that. That sounds like a match that would have been fun for me and me alone, probably. As for Mr. Perfect, he says that he could take on his best shot, and he's still the IC champion. I think they had a match against each other, and Shawn ended up winning in some type of screwy-Louie way. I don't know. Vince says that, yes, he is still the IC champ, but some would say that he's been a reluctant champion. Yeah, he's like a chicken shit heel right now, so he's not like defending the title 24/7, but he's acting like he is. Shawn got worked up by that, but then calmed back down, saying that he would defend his title anywhere, anytime, any place, because he is a man, and he is the man, he's a man of his word. As he's talking, Vince tries to say something else to him, and he tells Vince to clam it up. And then he finishes rambling about whatever he was saying about how great he is. As Vince tries to wrap it up, a hooded figure ends up coming to the ring. I get that from a theatrical standpoint, you're not going to have security guards tackle them. But, God, every time some hooded figure from the crowd ends up attacking somebody, it always irks me, because my first thought is, oh, if you're trying to sell this as real, then have like security tackle him, and then somehow his hood gets yanked off during that, and you see, oh shit, it's actually blah blah blah. So Shawn tries to tell the fan, like, go back to his seat, eat some popcorn, enjoy the show. But the hooded figure ends up taking off his glasses and his hat, and he reveals that it's Marty Jannetty. That's right, he is making his first of many returns after being fired for, I don't know, probably drugs this time. I don't honestly know. After Vince and Marty both antagonize Shawn for a title match later on tonight, and Shawn's like, well, I can't fight tonight, you don't have wrestling gear. And he said, let me go in the back, I'll get it. And he's like, well, I don't know, I can't do that. And Vince's like, well, you said you're a man of your word. He says, I am a man of my word. And Vince is like, oh, so you'll do it. And he's like, fine. And the crowd pops real big when he does that. You know, honestly, through this, Marty forgot some of his cues, but it's okay, because, like, Vince and Shawn playing off of each other worked. Oh, also, just an important note about the Vince McMahon character, aside from real shit that I'm not going to talk about. He isn't known as the owner of the WWE letter that comes after E yet. To everybody else, he's just a commentator, or at least for anybody who hadn't watched the era before the new generation, because there was kind of like this, there's this weird thing that I've seen where it's like pre-Hulk Hogan era up to like halfway through Hulk Hogan era, it was known that he was the owner of this company, and then like Hulk Hogan era till essentially the screw job, President Jack Tunney or Sergeant Slaughter or whoever's the face of the week was over the company instead of him. And then eventually after Screwjob, it's just known he's over it until he ends up being a fucking idiot. I also have strong memories of this segment because bringing up that Raw's 15th anniversary disc set, I don't know if this full episode was or if it was just this clip, but they had this on there. Really, like, I still love wrestling, but I really loved wrestling, and I wanted to watch as much of the old shit as I could as a child. So I would watch this segment for like years and years and years. Not literally, but you get what I'm saying. They also had the match that happens later on tonight. Man, 10 out of 10. Oh, and they also have this coming up segment too, because after they wrap up that segment, that was not a smooth segue, but whatever. We come back from commercial break, and we get Razor Ramon versus The Kid. Now, The Kid in future events will be known as X-Pac / Shawn Waltman, but at this point, he's known as The Kid. Before that, he came out as the Cannonball Kid, that got turned to the Hard Luck Kid, that got turned into the Kamikaze Kid, and that got turned into the Lightning Kid, and dear Lord, if I have to say Blank Kid any more times after this, I'm going to lose it. Oh, also, speaking of, he ends up getting turned into the 1-2-3 Kid. Oh, that's it, you son of a bitch! Let's see, does he have any more gimmicks since I've tackled this many already? So, I'm not looking at a list or anything, just off the top of my head. In WCW, he's known as Six, but I think they also called him, like, Six-Pac, which is where, like, X-Pac comes from when he returns into the Attitude Era. And then eventually he's just known as Shawn Waltman. I think I covered all of his gimmicks. There might have been like one or two I forgot about, but there you go. Yeah, as alluded to, there's no reason for this match. It's just a squash match, or so it seemed, because in a turnabout of events, the Kid ends up winning the match. He does like a moonsault crossbody to Razor Ramon after Razor ends up hitting his head off of the turnbuckle. And he pins him off that crossbody where they're literally like 69 in each other. I don't know how else to word it. Like junk right in Razor's face. We got 1, 2, 3, big pop from the crowd, and this starts the very long feud between Razor and the Kid, which honestly I enjoyed it. So I mean, it's not the worst thing to ever happen. Razor tries to plead his case to commentary, which totally isn't going to affect future events. Then after that, we see a ring girl come to the ring, and then we get Tanaka versus Scott Taylor. I think that's the future, like Scotty 2 Hotty, if I'm not mistaken. But he's another talent enhancement for a talent enhancement match tonight, so we know how this will go. During the match, I heard something that I thought I'd never hear in New York. there was a Braves chant directed towards Tatanka. I keep on wanting to call him Tanaka. I'm so sorry. But Tatanka wins after hulking up, doing his, arm movement thing across the ring and weird stereotypical Native American stuff. And then he ends up dropping him with a Samoan drop, which I thought his thing was the Death Valley Driver, so that made me so confused to see. After that, we get a King of the Ring report, which, holy shit, I need to add that to the pay-per-views, apparently. So let's just recap. So eventually there's going to be a Backlash pay-per-view for the first episode of Backlash and the last episode of Backlash. The first episode's going to come up this week. Second episode's going to come up Sunday. And then after that, eventually the Royal Rumble's going to be uploaded from 93. I feel like I'm going to throw that up next Sunday. So not this coming up Sunday, but the following one. And then we also got, let's see here. We got, after the Royal Rumble, we got WrestleMania 9, which thankfully I dodged that, so I don't have to watch it. But in all fairness, I probably will watch it just to get it out of the way for future events. Then after that, go into SmackDown reviews. I think I got SummerSlam 99 or something like that. God, there's 8 or 9 just solid weeks of pay-per-views coming up of just mentioned in these episodes. You know what I mean? So that's fun. Anyway, my headache, not yours. We got a King of the Ring rundown. After that, commentary wraps up about the Ring Girl. They do a weird 90s bit about Bobby Heenan likes fat girl. Ha ha ha. That's how they word it, in all my words. After that, we get Kamala coming out for a match against Yokozuna. So Kamala is on the cusp of being the latest Vince project. They turned him face, and that absolutely killed all momentum that Kamala had. So Vince has lost interest in him. He hasn't fully lost interest in Yokozuna yet, but it's on the cusp. He's already lost the title. So right now, Vince is on to something else as far as I'm concerned. I think it's just because Yokozuna at this point put on a lot of weight, but also he's fighting against Hulk Hogan at the pay-per-view, so he hasn't fully lost interest or punished him yet or anything like that. We'll just have to see what the future holds. During this match, the whole thing was oh, Yokozuna's never been knocked over, and Kamala almost knocked him over, but Mr. Fuji ends up distracting him. I think he threw the salt in his face or something like that. And it gave Yokozuna an advantage. He puts him in the corner, gives him a splash in the corner, and then gives him a bonsai drop. And he ends up winning with the bonsai drop. They plug All American Wrestling, which is another one of these side shows that maybe I'll get to one day. And then we get the main event of this show, which is HBK versus Marty Jannetty. Which, honestly, these two had great chemistry, but with all due respect, Marty just, gosh, he's a little sloppy even at this point. Marty starts to take the advantage, which makes Shawn try to take his title and leave, but as he's leaving, Mr. Perfect's at the entryway. He starts going bah, 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 bah. I don't know how to describe it. He starts throwing his hands like that, I guess, and that makes Shawn go back to the ring because he doesn't want to face Perfect. They have some more action where, thanks to a distraction from Mr. Perfect throwing his towel in Shawn's face, even though he had kind of overshot it, Marty? Hey, Marty! Sorry, that was my family history coming out. Anyway, Marty Jannetty ends up winning the title thanks to a roll-up, I believe. After a weird ad, commentary ends up wrapping up the show, which I think they could have saved 5 minutes by not doing it like that. And that's how we end this show. I think for nostalgia's sake, I don't know, because obviously I wasn't alive during that time, but I think for nostalgia's sake, this episode was fun to watch. Yeah, it had its moments where obvious talent enhancement was going to lose this match moment happens, but if you can skip past those moments, it was a pretty fun match overall. Alrighty, I'm going to upload some other episodes and we'll get to it. So if you're interested in tuning in, hey, thanks. I appreciate it. That was a terrible plug. Jeez, you think I'd be good at this after 5 plus 15 years of doing this. But I digress. Thanks for watching. Gradually throughout the week, we'll have some old SmackDowns. This week's Raw, a couple weeks ago's Raw, like the beginning of the year SmackDown, Backlash, some other pay-per-views and PLEs. So if you want to tune in, I would appreciate it. Nevertheless, I'm going to say thank you for watching this. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.